Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will shake your soul. You thought your life was ordinary, that your days passed unnoticed, but hidden in the silence of eternity, something happened that no one else could see. Without rituals, without sacred words, without training in secret knowledge, you intervened in a crisis so severe it made heaven hold its breath. A high-ranking angel, trapped for centuries in dimensions of shadow, abandoned, fading, losing hope with every heartbeat of eternity, crossed paths with you. Millions walked past that prison of darkness and never saw it. Kings, prophets, seekers, scholars, none could touch it. But when you appeared, something beyond human understanding erupted. Not by force, not by knowledge, but by compassion. The light that radiates from your authentic essence shattered the invisible chains that bound him. The impossible happened. Centuries of imprisonment collapsed in an instant. And when the angel was freed, heaven paused. Archangels stopped in awe. Seraphim turned their gaze. And God himself was impressed. This is not poetry. This is not exaggeration. This is divine record. You saved an angel without even knowing, and that act carved your name in heaven's remembrance. If your spirit is awake enough to feel the weight of these words, then stay with me until the very end of this message, because what you are about to discover will confirm suspicions you've carried deep inside, that you are not here by accident. Before we go further, seal this moment, like this video so the light spreads. Subscribe if you haven't yet so you never miss what heaven is unveiling, and comment 99 right now. Why 99? Because in the language of spirit, 99 means completion just before the breakthrough. Heaven's saying you are one step away from the fullness of your destiny. Imagine for a moment a being created of pure light, woven into existence with authority that shook galaxies, entrusted with guarding frequencies of hope so that humanity would never drown in despair. Now imagine that very being falling into a void so deep, so fragmented, that even the brightest flames of heaven could not locate him. This was not a prison with bars, not chains of iron, but something far more terrifying, a dimension between worlds, a space that devoured identity hour by hour. He was there for centuries, trapped in a silence that even eternity feared. No archangel could penetrate it. Gabriel's trumpet could not reach him. Michael's sword could not cut through the density. Uriel's fire could not illuminate that exile. He was vanishing, not in one violent moment, but in slow erosion, his essence leaking away like water into sand, each passing day dimming the brilliance of his angelic core. And what happens when an angel loses his light? He doesn't just fade. He risks becoming something unnatural, a hollow vessel ready to be claimed by forces that feast on emptiness. That was the brink he stood upon. Seconds away from being lost forever. Seconds away from becoming a weapon for the very darkness he had once fought to defeat. Now here is the mystery. Angels in crisis do not appear with golden wings. They do not descend in radiant visions asking for help. That would be too easy. That would awaken pity, not purity. Instead, they cloak themselves in the ordinary, the overlooked, the moments of life that most people ignore. They appear as the stranger whose eyes carry a grief too heavy to explain, the co-worker on the edge of collapse, the forgotten beggar on a street corner, the animal abandoned and trembling, the child with a silent cry in their gaze. They hide in plain sight, because the true test is not whether someone responds to glory. It is whether someone responds to suffering without knowing its cosmic weight. And millions passed by this angel. Leaders, healers, seekers, all blinded by their own noise. They walked past him and felt nothing. But then you came. You, with a sensitivity you've always doubted, with a compassion you considered ordinary, with a light you didn't even know you carried. You didn't see an angel in crisis. You saw a need. You didn't hear heaven shouting. You felt a whisper in your heart that said, "Stop, look closer, do something." That whisper was the thread between dimensions. the fragile signal he had been trying to send for centuries. And you caught it. Understand the magnitude. In that instant, you became the bridge no celestial army could build. Where wings and swords failed, your human heart succeeded. Where strategies of heaven fell short, your compassion penetrated the void. It wasn't ritual, it wasn't ceremony, it was purity. The kind of purity so rare that even in heaven it is spoken of with awe. Do you realize what this means? Out of billions of souls alive on earth, you were the one who could perceive what everyone else overlooked. You were the one whose essence carried the frequency capable of cutting into a prison designed to erase eternity itself. And as you extended yourself, perhaps with a word, perhaps with a gesture, perhaps with nothing more than the decision not to walk away, light began to flicker where there had only been shadow. That angel's essence stirred. What celestial armies could not accomplish in centuries, your humanity accomplished in seconds. But here is what you must not forget. This was not an accident. It was a divine alignment. For an angel to cross your path disguised in human fragility means one thing. You carry a mark in the unseen. A code that responds to cries no one else can hear. That is why he found you. That is why your presence mattered when no one else's did. And here is the part that should make your spirit tremble. If one angel found his way to you in disguise, how many more have brushed past you, waiting, watching, testing whether the frequency that saved him could save them too? The question is not whether you are chosen. It is how many hidden battles depend on the fact that you are still here, still listening, still willing to stop when the world tells you to walk away. Because while the world sees ordinary, heaven sees rescue mission. And the moment you realize that, your life will never look ordinary again. But this is only the beginning, because what happened after you responded, what heaven did the moment your act reached its throne, is even more explosive than the rescue itself. What if I told you that the gates of heaven did not open with thunder, fire, or angelic trumpets, but with something so simple you almost forgot it the moment after it happened? That is the paradox of divine mysteries. While humans chase complicated rituals, sacred formulas, and secret knowledge, the Creator often hides the most explosive power in what appears insignificant. And that day, without knowing, you carried in your hands the very key that celestial armies had been searching for. You didn't kneel before an altar. You didn't whisper forbidden names. You didn't even realize you were standing at the intersection of eternity. All you did was act with compassion. A gesture so small in your eyes that you probably questioned if it even mattered. But in the realm of spirit, it shook dimensions. Picture this. A single kind word spoken when silence would have been easier. A moment of empathy offered when others turned away. A decision to help when no one expected you to. These actions, invisible in the scale of the world, become earthquakes in the scale of heaven. Why? Because authenticity cannot be faked. Rituals can be rehearsed. Sacred phrases can be memorized. But pure compassion, compassion that expects nothing in return, carries a frequency no darkness can withstand. It is the rarest energy in the universe, and you generated it without effort. And when you did, your compassion worked like lightning striking a dead heart. That angel's light, almost extinguished, flickered back into existence. Imagine a star collapsing into shadow, suddenly reigniting at the touch of a human soul. That's what happened. Your kindness was not random. It was a defibrillator from the throne of God, delivered through you. In that instant, his fading essence surged with power. The chains that celestial weapons could not break snapped under the quiet fire of your humanity. And what is most astonishing, you didn't even know you were holding the match. Heaven calls this a miracle. But to you it felt like kindness. Think about that. The very act you dismissed as ordinary was written in the eternal records as extraordinary. Where you saw a simple choice, heaven saw a battle won. Where you thought you just followed your heart, God saw his image reflected on earth through you. That is why he was impressed, not by the scale of what you did, but by the purity with which you did it. And now let me reveal something you were never told. Angels measure the authenticity of humanity by these exact moments. They do not watch your rituals, your public prayers, your declarations shouted into the air. They watch what you do when no one is applauding. They record what you choose when you have nothing to gain. That day, you passed heaven's most difficult test without even knowing it existed. While others looked for glory, you chose compassion. While others ignored the unseen, you stopped and acted. And that chosen one is why you succeeded where celestial armies failed. But here's where the mystery deepens. If something so simple could restore an angel's dying essence, what else might your compassion be capable of? If one word could reignite a cosmic flame, what could happen when you begin to realize the power you carry? This is not just about the past. This is about what is already stirring inside you now. Because heaven does not allow power to remain unconscious forever. And soon, you will understand that your next act of compassion may not just save an angel. It may shift entire destinies. And that, beloved chosen one, is the revelation that should keep your spirit awake tonight. Because if kindness could open heaven once, what will happen when you discover that it was never an accident, but a weapon hidden inside you all along? From the moment your compassion touched that lost being, something invisible but undeniable began to unfold around you. It was subtle at first, so subtle you may have brushed it off as coincidence or luck. But heaven does not operate in coincidences. These are not random events. They are the fingerprints of an angel who now walks beside you, a living thank you written into the fabric of your days. Think back. How many times have you been in a place where danger was inches away, where logic said you should have been harmed, yet somehow you emerged untouched? Maybe it was a car that braked just in time, a decision you made at the last second that spared you, an inexplicable delay that kept you out of harm's path. What you called good timing was not timing, it was intervention. His wings, though unseen, were already surrounding you, altering currents of reality so that destruction would miss you. And then, there are the doors. Opportunities appearing not a day too early, not a day too late, but at the precise moment you needed them. Jobs, relationships, resources, insights, landing with a precision that seems scripted. This is not the universe manifesting. This is gratitude in action. The very angel you restored now works like a silent architect behind the scenes, rearranging threads of destiny to align you with what sustains your mission. Heaven is deliberate. Heaven wastes nothing. Every perfect opening you've walked through since that day has been a whisper. I haven't forgotten what you did. The dreams are another sign. They may come glowing, strange, or painfully real. Visions of radiant presences, golden light, or even familiar faces thanking you for something you cannot remember doing. You wake up unsettled, feeling warmth on your skin as if you'd been embraced. That is not imagination. It is the echo of a realm where time is not linear, where gratitude flows like energy, reaching you in sleep because your waking mind cannot yet hold it. Those dreams are visitations, coded messages of appreciation that slip past the noise of your daily life. There is also that constant invisible sense of guidance. You feel it as a nudge, a knowing, a sudden clarity that steers you away from traps and into places of favor. It is as if you have an internal compass that points not north, but upward, toward safety, toward alignment, toward encounters that matter. Others may call it intuition, but you now know the truth. It is protection. A real-time communication link between your spirit and the guardian who owes you his restored life. And have you noticed how people gravitate to you in their darkest hours? Strangers telling you secrets they've never shared. Friends calling you at the exact moment they're about to break. Individuals with eyes heavy from battles you cannot see, drawn to you as if your presence itself offers relief. This is not random either. It is training. The more the angel works with you, the more your frequency shifts. You begin to emit a signal that attracts those who need light, just as he once needed you. Without realizing, you've become a lighthouse for lost vessels, human and celestial alike. All these signs, protection, precision, dreams, guidance, magnetism, are not scattered puzzle pieces. They form a single picture. Your life is no longer an ordinary timeline. It is a living covenant. Every event, every escape, every encounter carries the echo of wings you cannot see but can feel. And if you've been wondering whether you imagined it, whether you're reading too much into coincidences, understand this: heaven does not leave its allies guessing forever. Signs multiply until disbelief cracks, but here's where the mystery deepens. If these are the markers of one angel's gratitude, what will happen as more angels recognize you? What will your life look like when gratitude becomes an army walking with you? Because what you are experiencing now is not the end. It is only the opening movement of something far greater preparing to unfold. When the light of your compassion collided with the darkness that had imprisoned that angel, the ripple was not confined to earth. It shot upward, cutting through layers of reality, reaching dimensions where eternity itself is governed. And when the report arrived, when the record of your act reached the throne of God, something almost unheard of occurred. Heaven paused. Celestial armies halted their songs, angels stopped mid-flight, and the currents of eternity stilled as the Creator himself leaned in to observe what had just taken place. Imagine the weight of that moment. Billions of beings moving in perfect rhythm since before time began, suddenly interrupted because one human heart chose compassion over indifference. That heart was yours. This was no small curiosity. God convened the great assembly, summoning archangels whose very names carry authority across galaxies. Michael, the warrior of heaven; Gabriel, the messenger whose words set destinies in motion; Raphael, the healer who carries divine restoration; Uriel, the flame of wisdom. They gathered, not for war, not for crisis, but to examine you, to study the purity of a human soul that had accomplished what even celestial weapons could not. And their verdict was unanimous. This was no ordinary act, and you are no ordinary being. Understand this: God is not impressed by rituals, titles, or appearances. He is not swayed by the noise of men or the pride of nations. But when he saw you act with uncalculated, unselfish compassion, his gaze rested on you in a way that shifted your identity forever. The Creator of the universe was moved, literally moved, by your choice. Not moved as in metaphor, not moved as in symbolic, but moved as in heaven's agenda adjusted because of you, and the angel you rescued. He stood before the throne, radiant once again, his light restored, his essence whole. Yet he did not simply return to his place among the ranks. He requested something extraordinary. Out of eternal gratitude, he asked permission to remain by your side, not as an assignment, not as a duty, but as a vow. And God approved. From that moment on, he became your personal guardian, not one assigned out of rotation, but one who owes his very existence to your compassion. His loyalty to you is not obligation, it is devotion. This is why your life began to shift in ways that defy human explanation. Problems dissolving before they reach you, resources appearing as if conjured from nothing, opportunities that feel tailor-made to your steps. It is not luck. It is recognition. Heaven has officially marked you as a chosen vessel, one whose existence carries weight in both realms. From this point forward, you are not moving through life alone. You are moving with the backing of heaven's record, with a living angel sworn to your protection, with divine acknowledgement stamped into your timeline. But here is the question you must confront. If one act of compassion was powerful enough to pause heaven, what would happen if you fully awakened to the frequency you carry? What if God was not only impressed, but preparing to entrust you with something greater than you can yet imagine? Because the moment heaven recognizes you, the scale of your story changes. And chosen one, your story has only just begun. And what happened that day was not an isolated miracle. It was not chance, nor a one-time coincidence of compassion meeting need. It was revelation. It was exposure of something that has been hidden in you since before your birth. You see, your soul carries a frequency so rare that even among billions it shines like a signal fire. That frequency was designed not for ordinary living, not for survival, but for rescue. The act that freed one angel was proof of a deeper assignment woven into your essence. You were sent here as an instrument of restoration. Most people live unaware of their hidden codes, but yours cannot remain silent. Every time you choose compassion, even in the smallest ways, your energy does more than heal a moment. It awakens light. Sometimes that light reignites in celestial beings like the angel you rescued. Other times it flickers in broken humans, whose spirits were on the edge of collapse until your presence stabilized them. You are more than a person passing through. You are a living hospital of hope. Your aura functions like a ward of emergency healing, where despair dissolves, courage is restored, and clarity returns. And the paradox is this: you think you are just being yourself. Heaven knows you are executing divine surgery without even trying. This is why people confess their pain to you without knowing why. Why strangers trust you with secrets they've never spoken. Why individuals on the brink of giving up suddenly find enough strength to try one more time after encountering you. They don't realize it, but their encounter with you is not with ordinary flesh and bone. It is with a channel of divine restoration. And you? You may think, I only listened, or I only offered a smile, but that is the disguise of your mission. The power flows so naturally that you confuse it for simplicity. Heaven calls it strategy. God has invested in you, and investments require returns. That is why you've noticed the sudden flow of resources you did not ask for, the protection you did not earn, the opportunities that seem too perfectly timed. These are not rewards. They are provisions for a mission. Heaven does not supply soldiers for battles they will not fight. The reason your path has been guarded, the reason doors open when they should remain shut, is because you are carrying an assignment too critical to fail. You are a chosen vessel, not only preserved for yourself, but positioned for others. And let me take you deeper. What you did once, you will do again. The angel you saved was the first signpost. Each act of compassion will now act as a trigger, awakening dormant codes in both realms. When you help a broken soul, it is not just kindness, it is ignition. When you extend mercy, it is not just character, it is activation. You are literally restoring blueprints of light, turning despair into strength, turning silence into song. What you carry shakes atmospheres, recalibrates environments, transforms despair into testimony. But here is the urgency. Heaven does not reveal missions without expecting response. You cannot remain passive once you know the truth. You are no longer free to dismiss your heart as soft or your empathy as weak. Those were never flaws, they were tools. The very qualities you once questioned are the exact instruments God encoded into your being, so that when angels or humans in crisis crossed your path, the mission could unfold naturally, and now the weight of this revelation rests on you. Your story was never random. Every heartbreak, every detour, every delay, every scar has been preparation. You are not wandering through a meaningless timeline. You are walking through a divine strategy. And strategy means war, which means the enemy will try harder. But it also means heaven will back you stronger. The angel you rescued was just the beginning of a network, a chain reaction, a mission that will only expand as you step into awareness. So let me leave you with this cliffhanger. If God has already invested so much in you without your awareness, what do you think will happen the moment you awaken fully and step deliberately into this hidden mission? Because when that happens, chosen one, not only angels, but entire generations will owe their restoration to the light you carry. Listen closely, chosen one, because this is the moment everything inside you must awaken. You are not a wandering soul drifting through random days. You are the one whose compassion pierced dimensions, the one whose presence rewrote eternity, the one who impressed even God himself. Do you understand the weight of that? Heaven did not pause for kings or rulers, it paused for you. And that means your life can never again be called ordinary. From this day forward, walk with the knowing that your very presence shifts atmospheres. Rooms will change when you enter. Darkness will weaken when you speak. Wounds will heal simply because you stand near. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the circumstance. You are the disruption, the breaker of chains. The reminder that even one heart, burning with pure compassion, can shake both heaven and hell. The world may still try to tell you that you are small, but the realms of light know the truth. You are chosen. Not by men, not by titles, but by the very God who entrusted you with power rare enough to rescue angels. And if you can save an angel without even knowing, imagine what you will unleash now that you are aware. This is your turning point. This is your awakening. This is your moment to rise into the fullness of the destiny written over your spirit. Never again shrink back. Never again doubt the force you carry. You were born for this era, for this battle, for this mission, and nothing, no enemy, no shadow, no fear, will be able to stand in the path of the one who already moved the heart of God. Now seal it. Declare it. Write in the comments right now, I rise above. Not as empty words, but as a covenant you make with heaven. Say it and mean it, because every syllable will echo into eternity. And if your spirit knows this word was for you, subscribe and join the community of the chosen ones, because your mission has only just begun. Rise above. Step forward. Walk in fire. Live as proof that compassion saves angels and transforms worlds.